Jeff Passan reported earlier today, right before we went on the air. Quote, the collective bargaining meeting between the Major League Baseball Players Association, MLB, on Tuesday afternoon led to no significant progress, sources familiar with the situation told ESPN, almost ensuring a delay to spring training. And so he went on to talk about this and, basically said the sources told him, both sides, sources from both sides told Jeff Passan that the expectation now is that spring training will not open on time. Now, first of all, that's no big surprise because these people have hardly sat down in the same room together since the beginning of December. And when they do make offers where they give a little ground to the other side, the offers are very minimal. There's just nothing that moves the needle in a major way that tells you that peace is near. I'm definitely on the player's side in this, but, as I've always told all of you, when I say I'm on the player's side, I definitely am. It doesn't mean I'm in the tank for them. And, for example, I don't want to go into this stuff is so boring, but they made one concession today that, in effect, amounted to like a $5 million change. And it was akin to me, just kind of throwing a few pennies on the table. And it's like, so why even make the counteroffer? I mean, it's not going to take you anywhere. So what's the point of even doing it? So even when they do make, offer, counteroffer, all this other stuff, no one's really serious yet. I mean, maybe I should be a little more, I should step back and amend that a little bit because, when the players did, and that, again, this is why I am on the player's side, when the players did come up with one thing where they said, no, we'll back off our desire for players to be eligible for free agency, before 6 years. That was a pretty big concession. And, I don't think anything Major League Baseball has done that, kind of compares to that really. So it's just that today, here we are, the first day of February, the lockout began second day of December, I believe, or first. And they're still, metaphorically speaking, throwing pennies on the table and say, here's what we'll do. And it's like 7 cents. And then the other side is like, well, here's what we'll do. And it's like 4 cents. And it's just like, y'all need to actually just sort of start to dig in on this, but they obviously don't care. And this is why this poor sport, this poor sport, destroyed its own offseason, which is really great for marketing. And you have situations like Adam Wainwright recently. He was having a fundraiser, or he's going to have a fundraiser in Springfield. And he asked some former Cardinals to be with him. Jason Isringhausen said yes. And then it's like, no, he can't do it because he's a Cardinals employee. And they are, they're prohibited, as all team employees are everywhere in baseball. They're prohibited to, in effect, represent the team or engage in these kind of things. So what kind of cockamamie business are you running when you're telling one of your franchise Hall of Famers, just because he does some scouting or something, that he can't go assist a fundraiser in a community where they love the Cardinals? How the hell does that make your game any better? These people are crazy. They're just flat out cuckoo. And I'm talking about the management side. So I try not to get mad about this. But, again, when you just see this, it's just appalling lack of common sense. And even more appallingly, the lack of urgency. And you have a lot of people you have a lot of businesses in Florida that, rely on, basically tourism. And you have a lot of people in St. Louis, and this isn't just St. Louis. I mean, this is all across America where baseball fans are, whatever market they're in. Fans love to go down to spring training or Arizona and spend some time. It's a little, man, it tells you baseball's coming. You're excited. You get to see some of the players. Hey, who's this hotshot prospect? Oh, man, he's starting today. This is great. And you're taking that away from fans, and you're taking that away from yourself. You're doing more damage to your own game and popularity and fan loyalty. And they can't even show the fans the respect of taking these negotiations seriously. And look, I know that it will get done, and I know that there have been, approximately, intentional exaggeration coming, approximately like 25,000 of these labor disputes in baseball. I get all that. And I get all that. There's really nothing to be gained except to sit and complain about it. And what I won't do is the stupid, hackneyed, boring, false thing like, it's billionaires versus millionaires. No, actually, it's not. Come up with some new damn material. People that use that all the time. Anyway, for my own mental health, that's why I have to actually vent about this every now and then. Even though I know it'll get done, there's no reason to raise your blood pressure over it. But every now and then, and I think it was that Isringhausen stuff, and I don't blame him, but obviously, you're just like, what in the hell are they doing to their own game and their own relationships in the community? And they've already given away the off season, which is supposed to be, a bustling time all the way through. And now they're going to at least jeopardize the possibility of a decent spring training with games and people going down there on trips and everybody, just enjoying getting reacquainted with the seasonal cycle. And hey, baseball's almost here. And the other thing, Jim, again, it just simply underlines the stupidity of Rob Manfred and these owners. Number one, spring training is good for business because the owners get to keep all the money and it's pretty lucrative. But the other thing, forget all about that. Super Bowl is going to be over on February 13th, right? It's going to be done Sunday night.
Yep.
I'm sorry because, look, I keep an eye on the NBA. I keep an eye on college basketball. I certainly, as we just showed, I love to talk Blues hockey. We had Doug Armstrong for a half an hour. But from a more global perspective, Major League Baseball would have the stage as soon as the Super Bowl is over. They would have the stage. So now they're going to even blow this. I mean, anything to put their sport in a good light, a positive light, sort of churn some energy, get people feeling good. A lot of talk. Hey, man, there's free agent signings. How about some trades? There's action. There's things to look forward to. No. If they keep fooling around, they're gonna remove that too. They're gonna kill another chance to just get people feeling better about the sport. They can't. They just are so filled with, as I've said a bunch of times already. I'm gonna say it one more time at least. Rob Manfred, his whole background in his professional career is, sitting at a table with, metaphorically speaking, a dagger in his hand. And he's been a labor negotiator, and he's been always on management side. And at some point, he is blinded to the issues. He is blinded to the possibility of finding a way to a middle ground because he metaphorically's got that dagger, and it's like, he's been raised and trained to be a killer. He can't see the way forward to a resolution because he's got to kick everyone's butt. I'm going to kick those guys' butt. And this is what you're dealing with. This is what you're dealing with. So, Jim, it ain't going to happen during our lifetimes, but there's going to be a time where this sport in America is going to be, it's going to be pretty far down the list, just like boxing is now. Just as horse racing is now.
Two sports I used to love.
Same here. I still do. Yeah. Right. It's just frustrating, man. I had to get that off my chest.
I was not aware of the Jason Isringhausen issue.
Yeah.
All I can say is that the people that are involved that are shutting that down should be embarrassed. And I'm not talking about Jason, and I'm not talking about Adam.
No. They're innocent in all this.
Those that tell them, no, you can't do that, they should be embarrassed because it's an event that will help out a community area. And if you're not all in there, you should be completely embarrassed. That is completely wrong. And I'm flabbergasted at that. You can't say, okay, just go ahead and do what you got to do there. Make that right. Because I truly believe this, and this is a life issue, you're never wrong to do the right thing. And doing that is the right thing. And I'm not, again, not Jason, not Adam, but for those who won't let them do that, you people should be embarrassed. That's just wrong.
Meanwhile, Derek Gould's chat on STLtoday.com each week, it's is usually on Monday. Like during the baseball season, sometimes he's got to do a different day, but it's clockwork on Mondays, and it's a must read. And I don't know if that's only for subscriber only, but I'm a subscriber to STL Today, and there's many reasons to do that. So, and the chat is one of them. But there's something interesting that just kind of fell into the chat, and I forget what the premise of the question was that led to this, but Derek had an interesting nugget, really interesting nugget, about how apparently there was a Sabre meeting, and he gave the impression that there was a team official there. Didn't say who, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And one of the things the team officials, well, first of all, the team official was talking about how they think they got a really good team in 2022, but they're apparently, not that this was said at this meeting, but, Derek picked up on some intel, and he's a great reporter. The Cardinals I'm talking about the management. I'm talking about the business side, right? They're working really hard. I mean, they're you know what they're doing during this lockout? They're working hard, man. They're hustling hard because they want to get some. All the pro teams in Missouri want to get a gambling bill passed where you can create sports books, and you can have them, right? And the Cardinals are really making a push. They're pushing hard for this. And why they're pushing hard for this is because they want to have a sports book at Ballpark Village.
Heck yeah, they do.
And as they should. I mean, I'd do the same thing. Uh-huh. So my point is, they're determined to open up a new revenue source. And more power to them. I want people to understand the context. I'm not being critical of that. My point is, there's so much money, even with the damage they do, baseball in general, to their own game. There's still so much money flowing in, and there will be even more money streaming in because these sports books, it's a matter of time, especially if the sports franchises in the state are basically a part of it. I mean, a part of the sports book, basically, from an ownership standpoint or a management standpoint. That's going to be even more money flowing in. So it's just kind of hard for me to peacefully accept that we're sitting here on the 1st of February and they're making no progress. It's a smidge here, a smidge there. And yet, baseball teams like the Cardinals are doing what they can during this downtime to, in effect, create, lush revenue streams, hopefully in the near future for themselves. So I just, it's probably unfair for me to say because, you can make the case one has nothing to do with the other. It just it's just got a little bit of a stench to it.
Oh,
that's
it's
all.
A big stench. Look, as soon as you started bringing it up, and we're in the middle of a labor dispute, I'll be honest. The first thing you started bringing up about the gambling situation was, I wonder if they get to keep all that too.
Yeah, right.
Because if you're a player,
great question.
If you're a player, aren't you going to go whoa, 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 whoa? Because I think we all realize that is going to be a big boon of money that comes in. I mean, it's just, that's what it is. It's pure money. And if you're a player and you go, let's make sure that's counted towards the revenue pot that we're all talking about sharing and not their revenue that they don't have to tell us about. That just, boom, that screams of that right now in this situation. That's the first thing that popped in my head, unfortunately, when you brought it up. And you're right. It's about, it's going to happen soon. And I know a lot of people who enjoy that part of sports will be part of that. But it's like, wow, it's a huge part of the pie that will become a focal point of a problem in a negotiation. I can see that coming soon.
But Jim, don't you understand that Ballpark Village is just it's not a baseball business. It's like a separate entity from the actual baseball team, and their revenue does not apply to the Cardinals' revenue. It's totally separate. Don't you know that, Jim?
Oh boy!
Yeah,
what a whole new bag of worms!
It's just unreal. So
wow.
Anyway, so I had a vent. I'm sorry but I just had to. I didn't think I went on too terribly long with that, but I just had to get that off my chest.
I hope they can start getting serious. Unfortunately, I truly believe they're going to miss the first 2 weeks of the regular season, and then they'll be like, hey, you know what? We need to get serious and get this so we can start 2 weeks late, whatever that deadline day is. Because unfortunately, Bernie, we've all seen it for forever in any labor dispute. Until there's a deadline, there's nothing that seriously gets done.
Yeah, and it's going to have to happen in a very quick time frame when they actually get serious about this. But that's pretty much, like you just said, that's pretty much how these things end anyway.
Yep.
All of a sudden, it's like kind of whoosh, and well, what do you mean it's done? You all weren't talking to each other,
right?
3 days ago, So, but it's just a damn shame that there's got to be kind of like artificial pressure, that you just can't sit down and hammer it out. I tell you another thing, and not that this is not the Bernie is annoyed hour. It just sounds that way. This kind of stuff drives me crazy, and I don't know why I let it bother me, but I do. I'm reading Katie Wood. I love Katie Wood. Don't get me wrong. The Athletic does a great job covering the Cardinals. She did a Q&A with Jim Bowden, who I get a kick out of. He's entertaining. Writes for the Athletic, of course, former Reds and Nationals general manager, but they're just sort of talking about the Cardinals, and then Jim Bowden goes on this there's a couple things, and he's entitled to say whatever he wants, but it's just like sometimes I'm like, man, let's just stay on planet Earth, Can we just stay on planet Earth, right?
Yeah.
I know it's all about the clicks. I know it's all about the little pops in here. You get people talking about dummies like me. I get it. But he's still talking about how the Cardinals should have gone after Corey Seager. And just as I said that, all right, 98% of our audience said, well, hell yeah. Well, why are you mad about that? Because it was, number one, it was never going to happen. The Cardinals were never going to spend that kind of money. In my opinion, nor should they spend that kind of money on a shortstop who's going to have to be moved to third base because his defense continues to kind of deteriorate, and a guy who's got a left-handed swing and was shopping for a ballpark, a team and a ballpark that would fit what he wanted. And here come the Texas Rangers. They've got a ballpark for him where he may actually hold. He may hit 80 home runs in that place one year. I'm serious. I mean, so it's tailor-made for his swing. The Rangers, paid him whatever he wanted. And the other thing is, I don't have the figure in front of me, but I remember reading the story, and I was just like, wow. He is saving millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in state taxes because there is no state tax in Texas. So I would say to our listeners who are like, well, hell yeah, they should have gotten Corey Seager. As I like to remind people, the player actually has a choice in the matter. It's like his career. He can actually make the decision to go where he wants. The Cardinals aren't going to actually break the bank on him. And it has nothing to do with all of the collective hatred of Paul DeJong. This isn't about who's the better player, but it's about how much money you're talking about. But more than anything, it's more about what Corey Seager wanted. So I just don't understand it. So why is Bowden, bringing this stuff up again as if it were ever even a 1% possibility? 'Cause it was never a 1% possibility. There was no chance whatsoever that was ever going to happen. So this stuff just irritates me. I don't know. I don't know why it is. That's why I said, can we at least stay grounded to earth with this stuff, right? At least raise suggestions, ideas, recommendations that are grounded in some form of reality, And then the other thing he said, since this is the Grumpy Bernie hour, on 590 the Fan KFNS. The other thing he said, like, I still wouldn't be surprised to see the Cardinals include Nolan Gorman and in a package for a good starting pitcher. No, it's not. No, they're not going to do that, Jim. So why get these great fans here all smoked up on something that simply will not happen? 0% chance of that happening. I just don't get it. We don't need to be just throwing stuff up against the wall. All right, so I got that off my chest. What's
now
next?
I can scratch no Correa to St. Louis. That ruins my day. All right, hey Bernie. No, look.
Well, I'd be all. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm all in favor of the idea, man. The concept of Correa, sure, but the Seager thing was just like 100% non-starter.
No, you're right about that.
And if I'm Seager, man, hell yeah, I want to sign with that kind of money. You realize a tax bill on that every year? Hell yeah, if I can, a place as long as it fits. Hell yeah, I'm going to sign with a team in a state where there's no sales tax, or state tax, I should say, sorry. I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of money that he's going to save by signing with the Rangers.
Nolan Gorman's not going anywhere. No. I don't get that one. No. Unless Juan Soto's coming in return, Nolan Gorman's. And I'm not saying they're the same player, but the point of the matter is there's nothing there that's going to make them go, we got to make that trade, because the Cardinals organization, when they have a guy they really like and they put in the time and they develop him, they keep him.
Yeah.
They don't move those players because they know they can use them in this organization.
They really don't trade top prospects. And, I've ripped them because I get annoyed by their spin every July. It's just like, they
always ask for Gorman every time.
We thought we had a deal, but for like a fourth starter, but they asked for like our top 17 prospects. I just get tired of that every year.
Right.
But the fact is, when the Cardinals are geeked up on one of their prospects, other than of course Randy Rosarina, all joshing about that aside. I mean, no, when they've been looking for a pure power bat that they drafted and developed for a long, long, long time, because that was a weakness in the organization for a long, 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 long time. And they've actually done a hell of a job of stocking that system with people that can hit. I mean, and people can hit with power. Yeah, they got to show they can do it in the major leagues. But when you see what Nolan Gorman did over 2 levels last year against right-handed pitching, and just a reminder, the Cardinals over the last 2-3 years, like 75% of their at-bats, 70 to 75% of their at-bats are against right-handed pitchers. When you see how this kid, and Keith Law, who will be on the show tomorrow, just can't say enough positive things about Gorman. When you see that right-handed swing, left-handed swing against right-handed pitching, it's something to behold. And the Cardinals would be absolutely nuts to trade Nolan Gorman, Mm-hmm. They'd just be absolutely nuts. They're not going to do it. I mean, DeWitt doesn't like to do these things. And he said on our show roughly a year ago, or actually maybe it was about 14 months ago, he said he basically he criticized his own trade, about how they messed up with the Rosarena evaluation, which is one of the reasons why they want to make sure that they give their outfielders an opportunity, and young position players an opportunity. And I tell you what, once Harrison Bader, this is another event for another day, so I won't do it today. But once Harrison Bader returned, and they could go with what pretty much was their set lineup, I mean, from July 1st to the end of the season, and you could evenly go back to late June, but the line was when Bader got back, and their outfield for the first time all season could play intact. I mean, the Cardinals have one of the best offenses in baseball, and that's not an opinion. It's a fact. I'll share that again. I do it all the time. Very few are willing to absorb it because they don't want to believe it because it goes against the narrative. They got to fix this off. Well, they actually kind of did when they got healthy. The offense took off. And a big part of the offense challenge is it's really, really hard to hit at Busch Stadium. So their numbers tend to be dragged down anyway. But once they got the players that they wanted to have on the field, health-wise, the offense took off. And this was for the final 3 months of the season. It wasn't like, whoa, that only happened in late August. No, not true. So I don't think the offense is in bad a shape as it's pretty much depicted by lazy media and people that they want the Cardinals to sign everybody, and the latest obsession is Kyle Schwarber. Whatever, we can talk about that at some point too. So, all right, what else I got to grouse about? I'm in a really great mood. I think the venting is good for my soul, actually.
Text line question for Bernie: do you think the Cardinals will trade or sign a free agent pitcher?
Probably a reliever. That's the best guess. I don't, the free agent market for starters now, if you're going to shop beyond the it's the scrap heap, let's take a chance type thing. Carlos Rondon, is that how I say that? Or I always say his name wrong.
Yeah, Rondon.
Rondon's, he's kind of a mess as far as a medical risk. Maybe a 1-year deal for him. But I tell you what, a lot of teams would be lined up for a 1-year deal.
Rodon, you're thinking of.
Rodon, yeah.
I was thinking of the outfielder the Cardinals. Sorry.
No, that's all right. There's a couple of other, pitchers on the market that they have the name appeal, but, there's some red flags about their pitching health. A Colin McHugh who could start or relieve is appealing to me. A guy like Joe Kelly is appealing to me. There's Ryan Tepera, I think, is appealing to me. There are relievers that I think they're going to pursue. So who it'll be and how much they're willing to spend, I don't have that answer. But I think if we were allowed to talk to Cardinals people, and if Cardinals people would really actually be truthful about this, no, they would say, yeah. Well, actually, they have said it. What am I doing? I'm guilty of kind of posturing there, because they actually have said it. They're going to look for relief help. That guy that they signed out of the KBO is kind of interesting. And, it didn't get a lot of play, and I understand that because it's a minor league contract, and you're kind of like, well, what, is this all the best they can do? I do not, honestly. He's an American. Aaron Brooks, he was in the major leagues for 4 or 5 years. Their scout over there is so good, Cardinals.
Yep.
So good, and has got such a terrific record of recommending signings. If you look at the KBO, Sun-Wan Oh was a really a terrific signing. Kim, I thought did a really nice job for the Cardinals. Who am I leaving out? There's another one. Oh, the decision to bring, to offer a contract to Miles Michaelis. Yep. Now, some people will say, well, look where that is now. That misses the point entirely. If there was a mistake with Michaelis, it's the contract they gave him once he was here and had pitched a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
The actual signing of him to bring him back to the majors was excellent. And they have a really good track record in making decisions, either when it comes to Korean baseball or Japanese baseball. So I'm not going to sit here and dismiss this guy as junk. Hey, he could be. But when I see a guy that in 2 seasons in Korea has got a 78% ground ball rate, hello?
Very useful here.
I just, so whenever they make a signing like this, I'm like, okay, what's the appeal? What do they see that fits what they like to do? And there's your answer, 78% ground ball rate. I make no predictions. I'm just saying, when you have a team with this defense, then you have all those Gold Glovers in the infield, and you see how they save runs all season long defensively, and they have a pretty high ground ball rate as a staff, right? And you're taking a flyer on a guy that had a 78% ground ball rate in the KBO. Why not?
Right.
That could turn out to be a value signing. I make no predictions, but I understand why they'd want to take a chance at him. So, but I don't know in terms of starting pitching. I don't know if there's any plans to supplement that even more. I really believe what they're looking for is pitchers who can start or relieve. Colin McHugh's one of those guys. So,
gives them all the options. One more, and this is, will Gorman be the starting second baseman at some point in the coming season?
Yeah, the whole key is a timetable. I have no idea what their internal clock is for him. He ain't going to be on the team at the beginning of the season. And with spring training being compromised, if spring training is the games, even the time on the fields and then the cages, if that's cut down dramatically, it's going to be really hard. Not that they would have him in the opening day roster anyway. I don't think they would because of the arbitration stuff and his clock starts and all that stuff. And maybe that'll all be changed in the collective bargaining agreement. But for now, we have to just go by what's already in place. I would think that it'd be a very remote possibility he's here at the beginning of the season. But as we sort of get into June, maybe crawling towards July, I could see it if he's doing great. And then that's when the puzzles come in place. It's interesting because everybody wants the Cardinals, and I'm not. Here I go again, but I'm not really, like going to call anyone knuckleheads for believing in this. But it's like people want to see the Cardinals go out and spend a bunch of money on Schwarber, or some guy at Bleacher Report wrote a thing saying, the most likely destination for Jorge Soler is St. Louis. So what is that based on? Oh, I don't know. Probably, hey, they could use a DH. I guess they could.
So could every team in the National League right now.
But I was looking around. There weren't too many really great DHs last year in baseball. But the other thing is that, they're going to have to create places where Gorman can get swings and Juan Yepez can get swings and Lars Nootbaar can get swings. And you have a manager who said what he's going to do is it's going to be a fluid thing. It's not going to be a set lineup. It's going to be matchups. And if you want to have, there's some pretty promising bats down there in Memphis, and more are on the way. We're talking about Gorman. We're talking about Yepez. We're talking about Nootbaar, who's already here. We're talking about Alec Burleson, a left-handed bat. I mean, that's 4 potentially really terrific hitters. And the Cardinals would like to give them an opportunity. And it's not like they're crazy for wanting to give these guys an opportunity. These guys are establishing their credentials. And Nootbaar was terrific for the Cardinals down the stretch, and he went to Arizona and tore it up down there. And he's a left-handed hitter who can hit left-handed pitching. And Yepez's numbers, he's a right-handed batter. His numbers against left-handed pitching last year in AA and AAA are laugh out loud good. So it's like we all moan because they traded Randy Arozarena and they never really gave him a chance. Yet we want them to get locked in with some DH for multiple years. And then meanwhile, they don't have enough room in the inn for players that they've been developing who have some game and they have tremendous potential. So I don't know. I mean, these things are never easy to agree on because everyone's got their vision of what the Cardinals should do. But I kind of like the guys that are on the way and, already have a foot in the door, like Yepez. Yeah, Kyle Schwarber taking a bunch of at-bats against right-handed pitching, absolutely. That would make me smile. But I don't put it out there as some kind of litmus test, like if they don't do it, see, it just shows they're not trying at all to win. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not playing that stupid game because that's just one has nothing to do with the other. They finally got their outfielders in place last year, the ones that they've been building around, and the results were terrific. So now we want to discontinue that. Not me. I kind of want to see Gorman and Nootbaar, maybe Burleson. I want to see him. I want to see him playing in 2022 here. So anyway, on the other side of our break, now that the grumpy Bernie hour is over, I hope it was enjoyable because listening to me vent, I think, can be enjoyable. also obnoxious.